Okay, well, thanks everyone for being here. We're going to start with a little background about us. This is a very deep topic. So Cheryl and I could sit up here and wing this. It'll probably take 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So in order to put this into a half an hour, we've got copious notes to stay on track. So don't blame us when we're staring and reading something. Like where I'm going to start right now. So a little background. I've known Cheryl since she was 10 years old. She lived up the street from me, and she started hanging out with all of us when she was 12. Cheryl was my absolute best friend for years before we ever started dating. As such, we knew just about everything someone could know about someone before we got married. We converted to Catholicism 3 years into our marriage, but we practiced what the church teaches before we got married.
i.e. NFP.
Yeah. We've been married for 45 years. We have 6 children, age 44 to 19. We have 8 grandchildren. I have to check on these things. 8 grandchildren, age 18 to 2. And by the grace of our Lord Jesus, all of our children are Catholics who follow Jesus with all their heart. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesus. In our marriage, we faced many trials, and all marriages just do. We are not perfect. We've learned a lot in over 45 years. We've also weathered special children, one with ADD and Tourette's, and another with cerebral palsy and mental retardation. Kind of done a lot. What we're going to present to you is based on our own decisions in our marriage and 45 years of observing other marriages. But we also have something very different to offer. As a doctor with 35 years in family practice, I've had the ability to observe hundreds of marriages with their children. Many families came to me because I'm a Christian, I'm a Catholic, and they wanted that perspective. So over the years, I've watched couples marry, I've treated their children, and I've treated their children's children. As such, we really do have a pretty good idea about what works, what doesn't work, and what happens over time when mistakes are made.
And I just want to say something. I know some of you people come from broken families. Bill comes from a broken family. We've got in our families, all of our parents had been divorced at least once, and all of our siblings have been divorced multiple times. We're actually the only intact marriage in our entire family. But you don't have to have a bad marriage if you come from a family like that. You can have a long, happy, good relationship. Okay, so we're going to start with the scriptures requirement of marriage from Genesis, that you leave and cling. Genesis 2:24 says, "Therefore, a man leaves his father and his mother and clings to his wife, and they become one flesh." And Jesus reiterated this when the Pharisees were asking him about divorce, as it was allowed at that time. And he said, "Have you not read that he who made them from the beginning made them male and female? And said, for this reason a man shall leave his wife, and the two shall become one. So they are no longer two, but one. What therefore God has joined together, let no man put asunder." No one is allowed to come between a married couple, ever. Not your brother, your sister, your best friend, your mother, your father. From the beginning, God meant for us to leave our family of origin and to cling or cleave to one another when we marry. Okay, so I have an example here. Bill and I both have an example of a situations we're aware of where people did not leave and cling to one another. I have a girlfriend that comes from a big Catholic family. She has 6 children with her husband. Her husband, she's a daily mass attendee and a devout Catholic. Her husband is a Catholic kind of in name only. He goes to church on Sundays and he goes to the bar after work, and that's about it. He has a wealthy mother that he's very attached to. And she decided one year when their oldest son was 6 or 8 years old to buy him a TV for his bedroom. Now, I'm pretty sure most of you would not allow your 8-year-old to have a TV in his bedroom, or any child have a TV in their bedroom. So she was outraged by it, but he wouldn't go against his mother. So he threw his wife under the bus, made her be the bad guy to his son, and made her be the bad guy to her mother-in-law. And his allowing the mother-in-law to have that kind of influence in his marriage, over the course of the next 40 years, she destroyed their relationship between their children because he allowed her to get a foothold with their children, and he did not stand united with his wife. to make a healthy boundary?
On my side, it was my mother. So this is a time in our marriage where I was going back to school and Mom was helping, so we had financial help. Her husband had just died, so she was in a bad way. And so she decided to dive headfirst into the occult. Yep, asking a spirit guide to enter her body. So she's watching my daughter, our daughter, who's 4
Yes.
4 years old. And the 4-year-old comes home and says to Mommy and Daddy, am I supposed to see colors over my head? Okay, Mom. So I go. It's my job, right? Her mom and dad, she takes care of. My mom and dad, I take care of, right? So I go talk to Mom. Just, you have to not do this. You have to respect our faith. Please don't do this. She was not happy. So she kind of said, okay. No, she wouldn't stop. She's still coming home and asking about colors over her head and all kinds of other things. And I think she even included, is there things in my palm? Palm reading. So we had to stop her from being alone with her granddaughter. We had to completely cut off. She had to be with one of us. We had a horrible year. I mean, the stuff going on with the families, but thank goodness we had a good priest who got her out of this thing and she was able to stop doing this. But it's our job. Do not let anyone get in between you and your husband.
Okay, so what's the secret to a long and happy marriage and to choosing a good spouse?
Yeah, this question is, that's what they ask us, right? There it is. Well, what's the secret? Choosing a good spouse. This is all about in dating time. You might look at all of these things we put up here. Where's love? It's all right here. It's in every one of these. So love is obvious. Common faith. A marriage grounded in Jesus and the Catholic Church. A marriage mixed in faith is really difficult, just to start with. The statistics say that 70% of children in a family where the dad does not practice the faith will leave the church. Doesn't mean that the Protestant and Catholic can't marry, but it's going to be a hard road. It's going to be a hard road. It's much, much easier to get it right in the first place.
Okay, and then we have being on the same page with regard to raising children. I think a lot of people get married and they've never even discussed what their philosophy of childbearing is. But you can imagine if one person thinks it's okay to spank and the other person thinks that's child abuse, that's going to be a real problem in their marriage. So it's not like there's one right way to raise children, but it's really important that you be on the same page and that you cooperate with one another. And sometimes when you get there and you start doing what you planned on doing, you find it's not really effective. And sometimes you have to adjust your plans, but you got to be on the same page.
And we're going to get into that pretty deeply. Common agreement on finances. This is one of the areas in marriage that can lead to divorce, is not having this straight in the beginning. One person likes to spend money like crazy, the other person wants to save. You got to get together on this. You have to get together on this. Please live according to your means. Don't get into debt. Okay? Really do the best thing you can not to go into debt. Now, of course, look, buying a house, buying a car, okay, that'll take a while.
Maybe on the car, but for sure on the house.
For sure on the house. But do your best to pay those things off fast as possible, okay? Come into agreement about how money will be spent all along the way. Please do. And merge your bank accounts as fast as humanly possible. There's no such thing as something's mine and something's yours. It's ours. That one right there can destroy, because that's what's in your mind. It stays in your mind. What is in mine? No, it's not. It's now ours.
And then let's talk about respect. Respect is really important in marriage. You want to be married to somebody that you would want your children to turn out like. You can get through a lot of really hard times. There are hard times in marriage where outside circumstances just put you in stress and make things very difficult, and it can go on for years and years and years. But if you love and respect one another, you can get through a lot of stuff. The other thing is eye rolling. If you're in a relationship with you where you're eye rolling all the time, that is a sign of contempt, and contempt is one of the biggest predictors of divorce.
Divorce, yeah.
So don't allow yourself to go there. Work stuff out, talk it out, but don't marry somebody that you can't respect.
No, absolutely
Or that
not.
doesn't respect you. That's equally important.
I think you're doing communication.
Oh, I am, that's right. Okay, so, okay, a really excellent thing in communication, in the first place, to listen. And when I say listen, I mean listening with a view to be able to repeat to, in my case, Bill, this is what I heard you say. Is this what you meant? Not listening with the view to react or to fight or to respond. Listening with the view to understand, repeat back to him what he said and see if I got it right. We've got to have grace with each other in communication because, we don't rehearse our conversations before we talk to one another. And sometimes we don't even know what we have to say until we hear it, or what we think until we hear it. And sometimes we say things in a clumsy way and it comes out clunky and not really the way that we would have liked to if we'd been able to think about it. So you really have to have grace with one another. So it's a really good technique. Listen to understand, repeat, this is what I heard you say, is this what you meant? And then you can go from there without jumping to conclusions or getting into unnecessary arguments.
Yeah, to reiterate the same thing, you're getting angry because you're hearing something. If you can stop before you get there and say, this is what I heard you say. You said this. You'll be shocked when the other person sits there and literally goes, well, no, wait a minute. That's not what I meant. I actually meant this. There is no argument now. It's all over with. Just take the time to repeat it back. Take the time. The ability to forgive. Do your best not to go to bed angry. This one's a real one. We tried it once. How late was it? 3 in the morning?
2 o'clock in the morning. I said, are you still up?
Yeah, it's still up. Okay, fine. I'm staring at the ceiling. Yeah.
Let's do it. Come on.
Get this over with. Please do. It's like, it was so silly. It's like, I can hear you breathing.
The Bible says, don't let the sun set on your anger. And I think that's really true if you can.
When it comes to forgiveness, we're called to forgive. Jesus put it very well. We have no choice. To forgive, to not forgive is a sin. Matthew 6. For if you forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will forgive you. But if you do not forgive men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. And believe me, you're going to hurt each other. It's just going to happen. If you don't deal with your feelings and you bury them, they're going to come out in other ways, and it builds resentment. It just gets worse. Get this over with. Speak to each other. It's best to deal with things immediately if possible. And if you're wrong, please say so. Show you're sorry by saying what you were actually sorry for, and ask for forgiveness. And the other person has to forgive. That's what we're called to do. So forgiveness is a big part of love.
And you need to say, I forgive you too.
Yes. You need to say, I forgive you.
Right?
Because believe it or not, that's what the other person's waiting for. Because you don't want to turn around and leave. That's part of contempt.
Next slide.
All right. Next slide. Here we go.
Okay. So now we're talking about raising children. So first of all, we're talking about or we're encouraging you to have a marriage-based relationship, not a child-centered relationship. It's really, really important that you make your marriage first. When you guys are connected with one another, it makes your children feel secure. If you're not securely tied to one another, it makes them feel insecure. So some of the things that we've done in our marriage in order to really forge that marriage-based center and communication is to... Oh, am I taking your part?
I don't know, are you?
I don't know. All right. Just remember your children are always watching you. Plan dates on a regular basis. And if you are far away from family and you don't have a babysitter, let the kids watch a video and set up a card table in your bedroom and have dinner together. Do what you can to really nurture your relationship. And it's really great if you can go for a date, go out and just look in each other's eyes. You'll probably spend all your time talking about your kids anyway, but make time for your relationship. Also, one of the things that we did in our marriage is when Bill came home from work, we'd make sure the kids were all secure. If there was a nursing baby, they could come in with us, but we would go into our bedroom and shut the door, and we would debrief about the day. He needed to know if I was at the end of my rope, and I needed to know if he was at the end of his. Because that's one of the great things God designed in having a husband and wife. You keep each other from killing your children and each other.
Yeah. Wives are there to keep their husbands from eating their children. Yeah.
It goes both ways, honey.
It does. It does. But that's very, communicate with your children. Let them know that they can bring anything to you at any time. Anytime. There are examples where children have asked mom and dad at an appropriate age, where do babies come from? And have a parent say it's none of your business.
That's what my mother did.
It's none of your business.
I went and found out from the girl up the street.
Bad idea.
Very bad idea.
No topics out of bounds. Never lie to your children, because when they find that out, they'll never trust you again. Be frank, straightforward. Never call your children names. Also, don't call your spouse names. It hurts severely. Never make their failures their identity. Never make their failures their identity. Apologize when you're wrong. Say you're sorry. You're going to make mistakes. Let them see you going to confession. Take them with you to show them that you make errors. They want to know these things. It's very important. Never give your children the silent treatment. Never turn off communication. Never.
Or
ever.
your husband or wife, for that matter.
Oh, yeah.
Silent treatment is very vicious and hurtful.
Yep. Nope. The next issue is discipline. When you choose, again, you have to get on the same page on how you're going to discipline children. But never discipline in anger, only in love. When you discipline in anger, you're out of control. This can be absolutely frightening to a child. Maybe not to you, but to them, yes. Discipline's not a one-size-fits-all situation. Some children are natural pleasers, while others are born with a very strong-willed personality and very little self-mastery. So the one who's the pleaser, their discipline is soft.
A look of displeasure could work for a child like that.
And the other one just needs to be hit with a hammer. No, you have to hammer it home with them all the time. Don't give up. Keep getting up. Keep correcting them.
And for strong-willed children, you need to set the bar a little bit lower and really figure out what hills you want to die on. Because they really do kind of have a disability of their ability to control themselves, unlike a lot of other children. And so don't demand that everything be done immediately. Kind of lower the bar with those kids like they're disabled. I really think it's a disability when you're strong-willed.
And after disciplining them, make sure that you reaffirm your love for them. My father would always come and find me, tell me how much he loved me, tell me he's sorry he had to do this, but it was good for you. This is why, and I love you with all my heart. Always reaffirming the love.
Okay, then we want to have a united front. We do not allow children to divide and conquer. If William came to me and asked for a cookie and I said no, and then he went to his father and asked for a cookie, Daddy should say, "What did Mommy say?" And if he admits she said no, then he says, not only no, but don't you ever do that again.
We give them one.
If Mommy says no, it's no. And I do the same for him, because, well, you let them get in there and they're going to take advantage of it.
We tell them, that's your one. You were allowed to do that once. If you do that again, it's going to be punishment. Just don't ever try again.
So we talked before about agreeing on a method of discipline so that you aren't undermining one another. I think everybody's probably had, or a lot of people have had the experience of their parents disagreeing about something disciplinary in front of them.
Never do that.
Very undermining and just undermining to the parent that's not being supported by the other parent. Mm-hmm. Even if you disagree with something your husband or wife is doing, wait until a quiet moment and work it out in another room away from the kids and come to an agreement about what you're going to do in the future. Do not argue in front of them and undermine each other. And don't make one parent, the heavy, always responsible for the discipline. That's just not fair. You're a team. And also, if we could make a suggestion about parenting, don't get into a habit of sitting on the sofa and repeating yourself, yelling, or counting to 10 or 5 or whatever number it is. As a parent, you determine when you're going to take action about willful disobedience. And so it's really not good to give the child the power to make you count to 10 before you get up and do something about it. And consistency is the hardest part in parenting because you're tired so often and you don't want to get up out of the sofa. You had a long day, you're at the end of the day, and that's when they tend to try you the most. But it will save you so much pain and effort if you just get out of the chair and deal with it firmly and immediately and calmly, not in anger.
Because they learn, the child learns, you do mean it.
Yeah.
You're going to get up. You can't get away with it.
Yeah, they need to know you mean what you say.
You train them. It's true. You train them.
So it's also really important. One thing that we found that was really helpful is, sometimes, especially when you have a strong-willed child and they keep trying and trying you, it's hard not to get angry, and we really don't want to get angry. So one of the techniques that we came up with is thinking about what are the things the kids are doing all the time? What are the infractions? And of course, you have to also consider this child needs this type of discipline and this child needs that. But we actually wrote down a paper. When Will does this, this is the punishment. When Leilani does that, that's the punishment.
Yeah.
We printed it and we put it on the inside of the cabinet. So at moments when they're doing this, we completely pull the passion out of it. We help ourselves not to get angry and to overreact because the punishment never seems good enough when you're really angry. And we just follow the rules that we actually set for ourselves. And,
open the cabinet
and the kids can look in the cabinet and see what the rules are too. So that was something that we found very helpful. And the other thing is, you punish for willful disobedience, not for childhood irresponsibility. So the difference is you punish Johnny for throwing the milk across the table. You don't punish him for spilling the milk, right?
Yeah.
And if you get these things right from the very beginning, you're going to have money in the bank when you get teenagers. If you don't, they will eat you alive.
Yeah, the trouble just gets worse.
Yeah.
And again, this is my observation from hundreds of married couples. Because remember, I'm treating their children, and I'm watching what's happening right in front of me.
Oh, Billy, stop that. Stop that, please. Oh, no, stop that. As Billy dumps 1,000 cups all over the floor. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, they just look right at their parents. No.
Yeah, you got till you're about 5. They're about 5 years old to get that stuff right. If you don't get it done by 5 years old, you're going to have struggles.
Because it is true, and it's very, very difficult if some of you can remember, because it's going to be hard to remember. But when the hormones truly hit, the prefrontal cortex is being bathed in testosterone and estrogen at levels the human body has never ever seen before. So that's truly the early teen years can be considered a psychosis. It is the weirdest thing.
It's medically correct, actually. They've done brain scans. They really have.
No, they have. I mean, my daughter,
is...
God bless her, she's great. She actually cleaned the kitchen and all this kind of stuff. And the table's sitting there, I said, oh, can you put away the ketchup? She's standing in front of it. Okay. Ketchup. Oh, it's not their fault. It's not their fault. It's just not their fault. Okay, chores. This is another thing that was on the inside of the cabinet. It was a chore chart. Oh, actually, it was on the refrigerator.
Yeah.
Okay. Chores are important because they teach cooperation, contribution, and work ethic. No one rides for free. From the earliest ages, let your kids help. So what age can they do something? You ought to see what a 3-year-old can do when you put a sock on their hand and tell them to dust.
Now, don't expect it to be done well. It won't be.
It'll look like a chihuahua ran all over it, but they're helping, okay? By the time they're 5, you'd be surprised how a child can empty a dishwasher or hand a plate to another sibling and help, just help, okay? The chore chart, again, the day, the person, the chore, this tells them what to expect, when to expect it, and if they see their brothers and sisters' names up there are also helping, and this treats them with respect.
It was something that I baked into the cake of our homeschooling because I homeschooled them all the way through, all of them. And so every year at the end of the summer, I'd kind of reevaluate where they were developmentally. And, you know, when Will got to the age where he could share the dishes later on, he didn't have to do them every night. She could do them 4 nights a week and he could do them 3. And so you kind of bump them up in their responsibility level.
And if you ever see a large Catholic family that has this down, mom's sitting.
I had years where I didn't have to do anything but go grocery shopping and cook. And then they started going to college and I got demoted. But
And when
anyway.
when they get a car, they can go grocery shopping.
Yes, that's true too. That's true too, yes. So let's talk about a mother's role. So, I mean, the mother's primary role is in bearing life, and nurturing life, and in her feminine genius in the care for the individual. One of the things that we women bring is the ability to make a beautiful home and lovely meals and a desirable place for people to come home and rest and feel loved and safe and to commune with one another at the end of the day or during the course of the day. We mothers also interact how to act with our husbands, with their brothers and sisters, with families, with our children. We generally are the community makers in the family. And we pass on our maternal skills. And if there's a skill that you didn't get passed on to you, you can learn anything on YouTube or from an older lady that would be happy to teach it to you. Most of all, the mother teaches her children to love the Lord with all their heart, soul, and mind. And because she's with them most of the time, she has so many opportunities during the course of the day in their life to speak with them as they're walking by the wayside, to help them, you know, deal with the fight they got in with their brother or the next door neighbor, or whatever, and walk them through how we actually live the gospel in our life.
Father's role. So as a father's role, we're to be an example of what Jesus wants us to be as husband and as fathers, and giving a good example and model for them to follow, number one. We also provide safety and security. As a father, we also teach risk-taking. Want to see a mom and dad with kids at the park? Mom, oh, careful, Caroline, okay. Dad's like, oh, cool, you're on the outside of the apparatus. That's a slide inside, but no, you want to walk on the outside. Cool. Now you're there to catch them, okay? All right? But that teaches special skills, so we bounce off each other when it comes to these things. Yeah. We are examples to our sons on how they are to treat other women, their sisters, and their wives. We're the model. And Cheryl and I had a deal when it came to one of my roles.
With regard to teenage boys.
Teenage boys,
which are
yeah,
a special
teenage
thing.
boys.
For women, there's special.
My office manager knew this. All my office managers knew this. All they had to do was come in and said, it's time for you to go home. I'm gone. She cancels the rest of my day. And when I come through that front door, it's shock and awe. Because that child is giving her a very hard time, either mouthing off or being willfully disobedient, and won't stop because he has prefrontal psychosis. So when I come through the door, I'm going to reset him. Baseball bats work fine. No, I'm just kidding. No, but it's sternness and in your face, and it has to be. Males, it's a different story.
Marcus will remember that.
He didn't do. No, wait. He didn't do anything wrong. It wasn't him.
He didn't get punished.
He didn't
with
get
his
punished.
older brother.
He just observed. He just observed. One of the things I taught all of my male children was be very, very careful how you treat my girlfriend, not wife. Now, all you guys out there, you can hear the connotation, can't you? You mess with my girlfriend? Oh, I don't think I want to mess with his girlfriend. No, that's just mom. No. That's my girlfriend. And they got that point across very, very sternly. And
I will say that was an extremely important thing in our marriage because we have a child with mental retardation, but he had the same hormones, the same anger, the same thing everybody else has, but all those disordered feelings and inability to control themselves. It was, I can't even imagine if I didn't have a husband around to press his reset button. And we don't mean beating. We don't mean beating. We mean when he comes at you, it's scary. That's all he needs to do. But we don't have any problems with him anymore. He's a wonderful young man. But that was helpful.
And guaranteed, all teenage boys, they're not going to let their mom know this, but they go to dad eventually, somewhere along the line, because of some discussion. Oh, mom, today, well, mom doesn't understand us. We're boys. They're just stupid. Yep, here comes the word stupid. Reset. Immediately, stop it. What, you're talking about my girlfriends being stupid, and then just kind of walk them up the wall. Don't ever do this again. Are you out of your mind? But they just think they can. So anyhow, let's talk about daughters and fathers. Daughters get their sexual identity from us. When my daughter turned 10 years old, we started daddy-daughter days. So we were in California at the time, pack up the car, drive all the way to Monterey, and we would have a nice lunch together. Then we went to the candy store across the street. Then we took the 17-mile drive to Carmel and went to a very fine restaurant, Change Your Clothes. During the entire time that I was with her, I opened the door for her. We go to restaurants, I take out their chair, I seat her, and I treat her as a lady. Why am I doing this? Because I'm teaching her that this is how men need to treat her. And this is how to pick a husband. If he doesn't do these things, next.
And she did it. She picked a really good one.
Yeah. And she came and told me that all those years is how she learned to do that. Those daddy-daughter days were extremely important. It was also up to me to make sure the standards of modesty were enforced. Come home with something. Mom took her shopping, but eventually you're going shopping your own. And it's like, well, excuse me, you're going to go out wearing that? And it was my job to explain to her that unfortunately as males, we are visually stimulated. And what you're wearing isn't appropriate, and I hate to tell you how. But it really was my job to make it explicitly how. This is what's happening here. And you just don't need to do these things. The bottom line is that a father holds the keys to his daughter's feminine identity, her sense of self-worth, and her future relationships. Who she chooses to marry is heavily influenced by you, gentlemen. Heavily influenced by you. The last thing I want to talk about for us men here is anger. If we were to gather, let you ladies know, if we gathered all the guys here and went in the other room, and one of them decided to tell his story about this day with his boss, who chewed him out and treated him unfairly, he might even get a little uppity, raise his voice, and get upset in front of all of us. You know what men do? Oh, wow, dude, that guy's terrible. That's it. But a man does this in front of women and children, this goes into flight or fright. So the sympathetic division of the nervous system, your pupils dilate, your hair stands up on end, your heart starts beating. The blood is being shunted to muscles and away from your digestive system. Now you're getting indigestion because you guys are genetically programmed to go, I can fix this.
Dangerous man. Dangerous man.
No. How can I help? How can I help? How can I help you? This was a terrible day. What can I do? Because you're raising your voice, because you're angry, you're looking mean. The children are cowering, especially the female children. They're cowering. You don't want to do this in your home. I have seen anger destroy marriages because the man can't control himself. Jesus said in one of his exhortations, he used the word, I am meek. Tell a man, you want to be meek? And the man's going, no, that's not me. Good, it isn't you. But the Greek translation of meek in that sentence is strength under, power under control. Power under control. Gentlemen, that's who we are. We are power under control. We can destroy with raising our voice. Our strength in comparison is unbelievable. And we can be very, very bad in our home just by being angry. So do everything you can to control yourself. You stub your toe, suck it up. Don't scream. Please don't. Because guess who's coming running? What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? Can I fix it? And what's happening in her body's system is very bad. It's not good. Okay, it's not good. And lastly, take time each day when you come home to talk to each one of your children individually. Pull them aside and how was your day? What's going on? And if you can, eat every meal together as a family, without question. We would have some of our boys bring home a friend or whatever. We'd have dinner together as usual, and we had so many in the beginning. You know, you don't have to do this for me. Yeah, because sadly enough, we've had children come home and say, is a Hot Pocket dinner? Everybody got a Hot Pocket and went to the microwave and then went back to their room. That's pretty sad.
Okay, so next slide. So now we're going to talk about the part of the Bible that usually, if you're at church on a Sunday and this is the reading, they truncate it. And it's because, especially because of this beginning part. Wives, be subject to your husbands as to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church, his body, and is himself the Savior. As the church is subject to Christ, so let wives also be subject in everything to their husbands. So this part is for us. This part is not for men. I have an ex-brother-in-law among a very large list of ex-brother-in-laws that has this highlighted and underlined in his Bible. The next part that he's going to talk about, that's for the ex-brother-in-law. This is for us, ladies. My husband's job is to love me like Christ loves the church. He's responsible to provide for me and protect me. He has to go out into the world and fight it for me and for the children. Now, he respects me and my values. This is not an excuse for a man to lord it over his wife and command her how she's supposed to do things. We mutually love one another. We mutually respect one another. We make decisions together. We talk about problems together. He values my opinion and I value his. And we don't do things outside of unity. So this is not a cudgel for men to lord it over women and domineer them. But when a husband has to go out and provide and protect and be in charge, he has to be able to make a final decision if there's a disagreement. And occasionally there are disagreements. And in some marriages there's lots of disagreements. And a decision has to be made. Who makes it? Well, the scripture tells us who makes the decision. It's the husband. Now that doesn't mean you allow him to abuse your children. No. Doesn't mean you allow him to abuse you. Mm-mm. It means you cooperate in God's plan to allow him to lead your family by not undermining his power and his authority. And you cooperate. We were asked the question a few weeks ago, how do you guys maneuver this, be subject, husbands or wives be subject to your husbands? And I had to honestly say, it only came up once that I can remember in our entire married life. And it was when our son was hanging out with my best friend's son, and we could see that this boy was really going down a dark path, that he was stealing, taking drugs, and trying to encourage our son to do it. And his mom was my best friend, and we homeschooled together. Mm-hmm. And he pulled me aside. It's the only time in our married life he's ever said, I command this. Yeah, you must do this. William cannot hang out with this kid anymore. And done. I knew he was right. He was being strong. He was helping me to do the right thing, but it was really unpleasant. It was, she's my best friend. She's still my best friend, and she did come to me years later, and to him years later, and say how sorry she was for how angry she was when we did that. But the son to this day is a problem, and it was a good call. I think that's the only time in our married life, and it was really, I knew it was the right thing to do. Sometimes you put your feelings ahead of what's right, and he gave, he let me know he wasn't going to tolerate it if I didn't do it, that it was going to happen. That's the only time in our entire married life because we talk about everything. Mm-hmm. And we agree about the things that are really important, and we respect each other. I want to know what he thinks, and he actually wants to know what I think too. We each have different areas of expertise, and if you have an area of expertise, like I don't leave the cooking to him because he puts Worcestershire sauce on everything. And he's a doctor. when we have to make medical decisions, it's not that he doesn't consult with me, but he knows more about it. So he has more of an expertise there. So we have our areas of expertise where we defer to one another, and I have them and he has them. But anyway, now your part.
Okay. And gentlemen, this is not your domain. Okay, you don't even go there, because you don't have to. Because this is what's asked of you. Good luck. Husbands, love your wives, as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her, that he might sanctify her, having cleansed her by the washing of water with the word, that he might present the church to himself in splendor, without spot or wrinkle or any such thing, that he might be holy and without blemish. How did Christ love the church? He died. Gentlemen, you are called to give your life for her. If necessary, to die for her. You're called to stand over her and to protect her and your children. You are not simply called to provide and be kind, but to lead her to holiness. Well, how do we know that? Because it says right here, having cleansed her by the washing of water with the word, that's baptism. You are called to lead her to holiness. You're called to love her at the level of Christ. Can you love like God? No. But with Jesus, all things are possible. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. You are called to love at this level every single day. Your leadership is not about authority, but about sacrifice toward your wife's sanctification. This is not your domain. This is hers. You do this down here, and all of this works. All of this works. We talked last here about love. Love is the willing of the good of the other. In marriage, we should want what is best for the other. When Cheryl and I put each other first, we have a recipe for a wonderful marriage filled with love, trust, and respect. And you can do a lot with that.
I don't have to worry about protecting myself because he's doing that. And he doesn't have to worry about protecting himself because I'm doing that. We're safe with one another. Mm-hmm. And I think that is the secret to a happy marriage. So
that's it.
I think we're done. If you have any questions, otherwise we'll break into small groups.
And if you ever have any questions at all,
Yeah,
we're always